What's up, y'all? It's good to see y'all again. Back for another episode of the Risky Powerhouse. I hope y'all been having a blessed week and all. Yeah, we've been building up a lot of traction, letting a lot of the NBA set in for the videos. I haven't been liking the day-to-day recaps, so y'all leave some comments for future video ideas. But yeah, man, before we get into what's on my mind right now, I'd like to appreciate y'all for the steady growth of the channel. We up to 1,350 subscribers as I sit here today. I just got finished watching the Lakers and the Trailblazers. Lakers squeezed out a win, but they still didn't show any signs of moving in the right direction in terms of showing some consistency. But yeah, hopping behind the camera. We got a fresh logo out. If y'all haven't seen it, I'm real excited about the logo. I'm real excited about the branding of the Risky Powerhouse, the growth of not only the channel on YouTube, not only the Instagram page and the Twitter and the Facebook, but as a brand in general. I also like to shout out to the Keep Going brand. My friend Naeem Wilkins, cousin, close friend of mine. Somebody that I hold dear to my heart. We've been going for a long time, for about 12 to 13 years. It started with marching band and school and, becoming scholars and growing as men. And now we're at the stage of our lives where, it's time for the next step. So with the support of all of you, with the support of, whoever you guys know, it's not even the people that's watching the videos, it's the people that you guys know. You reaching out to them and, grabbing them along and bringing them into the Risky Powerhouse, because we're growing not only as a channel, but as a brand and as a community. So shout out to all of y'all for showing all the love, and I really do appreciate it. I'm humbled, thankful, and yeah, man, let's get into it. Age ain't nothing but a number. And with Chris Paul being 36 years old, he's about to turn 37 in May. So that's coming up into the up into this season's playoff. The dude, he is truly showing signs of no flaws at the point guard position. With him only being 6 feet on a good day, like D Wade said on TNT the other day, he's 6 feet on a good day. And Chris Paul, he has just defined not only the odds set against him in his career and the doubts of where he could possibly go in terms of his ceiling as a player, but Chris Paul is defying the odds of an NBA career. And what I mean by that is, with him playing at the level that he's playing, still leading a level of winning in terms of the Phoenix Suns, the Oklahoma City Thunder before that, the Houston Rockets with James Harden, and even the Lob City Clippers. Chris Paul has been sustaining a level of winning. Now, we know he haven't got completely over the hump in terms of winning the championship, but Chris Paul have definitely been a consistent anchor in lead and winning programs, high level winning programs. He's always been that one step right up under a championship. And it's surprising that later in his career, as he goes to a younger team who's been building lottery picks over the course of the last 5 seasons before he got there, and he go to that team, he bring on a veteran or two with Jay Crowder. Now they have JaVale McGee, they had Dario Saric, et cetera, et cetera. And now these dudes are really geared up in terms of, when you look at all of the teams in the NBA right now, the Phoenix Suns are the most consistently winning team throughout the course of the entirety of the year. Devin Booker have missed 7 games. DeAndre Ayton missed 21 games. It don't matter. Chris Paul got JaVale McGee out there looking like an all-star at times. Bismack Biyombo reviving his career with the Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker averaging 25 points, 5 rebounds, 4.5 assists, a steal. When you watch these guys play, they play by the definition of what each position is. And that's why I think a lot of people haven't sold out on picking the Phoenix Suns to be their championship contender. Like, we all see how good they are as a unit. Chris Paul scoring when not as a hungry scorer. He scores when the defense makes him, they give him the opportunity to score. You get what I mean? He scores humbly on the floor, but he's still an efficient scorer from all 3 levels. So with that efficiency, Chris Paul don't have to take a bucket load of shots. He can spread out the offense for the players like the true wing they have in Mikal Bridges. When I say true wing, he defends, he shoots the three, he slashes to the rim. When you watch the Phoenix Suns play, it's like each player plays directly by the definition of the position that they're in the game as. With Chris Paul, you can see, he's a humble scorer, efficient from all three levels. So he's not chasing 25 a night, but within the opportunities that he get, he is efficient everywhere, from three, from mid range, which is his specialty, and even at the rim and at the free throw line. But he's a gifted distributor and a pit bull defender. He's top three in steals per game right now in the league, total steals. He's averaging 2 steals a game again, Chris Paul. So then you have Mikal Bridges, who is playing as a true wing. He defends first, he can shoot the three, and then he have a variety of counters for when people close out too hard. He can get to the rim into little floaters, finishes at the rim, layups, strong dunks. And he also got like little dribble pull-ups when you watch Mikal whole game. Then you have Cam Johnson, the sharpshooter extraordinaire. When you watch him, confidence is brewing. They beat the Brooklyn Nets a couple of days ago on TNT, and Cam Johnson had, a string of about 2 shots where, he wasn't hitting the shots that were wide open, but he kept shooting, and then he got going. I think he ended the game with 16 points. Cam Johnson off the bench, who was a lottery pick from UNC, who was an older player. He was a graduate student playing D1 basketball. So he have a little more body, a little more seasoning in his game in terms of being able to play as a veteran role, but as a young NBA player. Then you have DeAndre Ayton, JaVale McGee, and now Bismack Biyombo, who they signed off the street. And those centers are complete. They all can finish. They all defend the rim in a variety of different ways, depending on the matchups. They all rebound at a high level, block shots, energy, running down. One thing that I noticed about the Phoenix Suns that they do is these dudes, they bigs, they sprint right down the middle of the floor, no matter if it's JaVale or Bismack or Ayton, because Ayton missed 21 games, so Bismack and JaVale have had a lot of opportunity. But they sprint down the middle of the floor, and they get in front of the rim, put both hands up, and the guards feed them. Campaign, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, they all make sure when those bigs get back down the floor and have mismatches, they feed them, and they just get easy finishes, easy buckets. Right now, Chris Paul is leading the number 3 offense and the number 2 defense in the NBA, which is the Phoenix Suns. Chris Paul is number 1 in offensive win shares, number 1 in defensive win shares for the team, which is obviously giving him number 1 in total win shares for the team. He's also number 1 in both offensive box plus minus and defensive box plus minus. DeAndre Ayton have a higher PER than Chris Paul thus far in the season, but Chris Paul have played all 50 games, and DeAndre Ayton have missed 21 games. So I guess it's fair to say that Chris Paul have consistently been the highest PER level player on the Phoenix Suns all year. When you look at Chris Paul, his numbers are deceiving. For the season, Chris Paul is about at 15 points, 10.5 assists, 4.5 rebounds, like I mentioned earlier, about 2 steals. But when we start talking MVP, the steamroll that Chris Paul have been on since the new year, it's time to put him in top 5 MVP conversations. Undoubtedly, he should be getting up into that top 3 spot. Like he's fighting with Embiid and Giannis and Jokic. Although his numbers aren't as polarizing, his dominance and his control is that of an MVP level player. When you look at his last 3 games, he's averaging 20 points, about 15.7 assists, 7.3 rebounds, shooting 51% from the field, and only averaging 2 turnovers, 2.0 turnovers in the last 3 games on 15.7 assists. Do you know how marvelous that is? Do you understand how flawless of an orchestrator Chris Paul have been over the course of the last 3 games? When you look at his last 10 games, he's at 18.5 points, 12 assists, 5.5 rebounds, right around 2 steals, and he is shooting 54% from the field, 40% from 3, and 84% from the free throw line. Chris Paul for the Phoenix Suns, who have the #1 record at 41 wins and 9 losses in the NBA. When you even extend it further to the last 20 games, Chris Paul is averaging 15.7 points, 11 assists, 5.5 rebounds, shooting 49% from the field, 36% from three, and 86% from the free throw line. And like I mentioned earlier, the Phoenix Suns are 41-9. Chris Paul have played all 50 games. All 50 games. Nikola Jokic just missed a game against the Utah Jazz, in which the Denver Nuggets lost tonight. I just witnessed that. And you know, the missed games can only be taken with a grain of salt this season. But I think there is something to be said about the consistency of a player, especially when the team depend on that player to be there consistently. For all reasons we know, but the Brooklyn Nets need Kyrie in the rotation more consistently, especially with KD being hurt. But they can't depend on him to be there because of obviously the vaccine situation. But with Chris Paul, he's there for all 50 games. You know, it's like he's in the mud every game, and he's leading his team to whatever they need whenever they need it. If they need scoring because they're missing Devin Booker, he steps up his scoring. You know, his assists have been flawless all year, leading the league in assists, top 5 in steals as well, while also averaging over 5 rebounds. Chris Paul, shout out to Chris Paul, man. I really think he's truly making a storm at that MVP with the winning, you know, with other players missing games and with other players obviously not being able to sustain a level. And we know the Phoenix Suns have a great coaching staff. We know they have great talent, but with the inconsistencies of certain players in the lineup, Chris Paul have been that solid piece, and he's leading the team in every advanced analytic. So he got a strong case. Now, when we also watched that game against the Brooklyn Nets the other day, I had a couple more takeaways that might be a little more spicy because over the course of the last few seasons, James Harden have clearly been the #1 shooting guard in the league, and it haven't been close, really. It haven't been an argument for anybody else. But I think this season is showing a transition from the older players to the new. Now, Chris Paul's still playing well. We know Steph Curry is in a slight slump, but he's still shooting, you know, decent. He's still averaging 26 points for the second best team in the West. You know what I mean? So, but when you look at young guards like Ja Morant having a breakout season, Darius Garland, Trae Young still climbing in terms of his statistical production and things of that nature. You got a lot of other young guards. Now, when you slide down to the shooting guard position, James Harden have had that spot so long. But when you look at Devin Booker, when you look at Zach LaVine and others at that shooting guard position, these young bucks are really Donovan Mitchell. They're really making a push in terms of the talent level in the league. Like, they're proving. When I watched that game, I think Devin Booker ended the game with about 35 or something like that. But when you look at the way he was chasing the shots, you know, the way he was getting into his offense, it was like he was making a statement. You know what I mean? That I'm the best shooting guard in the league. James Harden, I know you right there in front of me. You got Kyrie with you. I know KD ain't out there. I know it'll be a different ball game if KD was on the floor with y'all. But for what's going on right now, and me and you face to face, he outplayed him. He did. And you gotta be careful, James Harden, with, you know, him having a lower season to his standard. Now we're starting to look at new life. Now, we know James Harden do a lot of different things on the floor where he can score around 20 points. He can get around 10 assists. You know, he can get 7 to 8 rebounds. But just because players don't do those things in terms of what James Harden do to be dominant, what they can do in their level of dominance can outlast you, even though the numbers might not add up. So James Harden might be averaging 21, 10 assists, 8 rebounds, whatever, and Devin Booker might only average 26, 5, and 5. But within what they do, we can see who's a better player. And when you look at young players like Devin Booker and Zach LaVine and Donovan Mitchell, for even the instance when you watch them in the playoffs the last couple seasons, I think the younger players are now catching up in terms of raising their level to the level that we once seen from the MVP and the All Star level players from 5 years ago and 3 years ago. And it's good to see. It's great to see new life. Giannis, Jokic, Zach LaVine, the resurgence of DeMar DeRozan. You got Tyler Hero, LaMelo Ball, Van Vliet, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. It's just so much young, fresh talent that's gonna carry the league to a new day. But one thing Chris Paul is proving is that age ain't nothing but a number. Hey man, if y'all made it this far in the video, y'all should definitely leave it a like. Like I said, we building the Risky Powerhouse brand, man. It's more than just a channel. You know what I mean? This is a lifestyle, man. Welcome to the Powerhouse. If y'all new, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so y'all can get notified every time I drop a fire video. We're raising the activity on the Instagram page, the Twitter page, the Facebook. We getting everything going. So y'all keep sharing. Y'all keep the activity up in the comment section, leaving future video ideas. And I will see y'all later. Y'all will see me later. And I love y'all.